All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to peel back the layers on Nelson Mandela. Not the myth, not the legend, but the man. Because what we're really looking at isn't a saint, it's a master strategist. And the amazing thing is, the strategies he used to transform a nation, they're practical. You could even say they're learnable.
Yeah, so his leadership, it wasn't about being some kind of superhero without fear. It was a masterclass in human psychology. And it all starts with how he thought about courage. For him, it wasn't about what you felt, it was about what you showed, what you could project to give other people strength.
So here's how we're going to do it. We're breaking down his genius into 5 core lessons, and we're using the stories from his biographer, Richard Stengel, as our guide here. Think of these as the building blocks of his incredible life.
All right, lesson 1, this is so crucial. For Mandela, courage wasn't a trait you were born with. It wasn't something you have. It was something you do. He treated it like a discipline, a conscious choice you make again and again.
And he drew a really sharp line in the sand here. You see, being fearless, he thought that was just foolish, reckless. But courage, that's different. That's feeling that absolute terror, looking it right in the eye, and then mastering it anyway. It's all about overcoming, not pretending the fear isn't there.
And man, there is such a powerful story behind this. So in prison, a guard is harassing another inmate, and Mandela decides to step forward to confront him. He told his biographer later that he was absolutely terrified, just certain he was about to get beaten senseless. But he performed bravery. He acted defiant. And you know what? It worked. That performance, that act, that's the core of this whole lesson.
Okay, so this whole idea of performance, it leads us right into his second lesson. And this one, it just flips the whole traditional top-down idea of leadership right on its head. It's way more subtle, it's patient, and it's deeply rooted in African tradition. And that tradition is built on this philosophy, ubuntu. It was literally the bedrock of his entire leadership style. The core idea is, I am because we are. A person is a person through other people. So for Mandela, leaders weren't just born or self-made, they were made by their people. His authority didn't come from his ego, it came from the group. And he had this amazing analogy for it, the shepherd method. See, when he was a boy, he'd watch shepherds and he noticed they didn't lead from the front, they guided the flock from behind. So how did he use this? In meetings, he became famous for it. He would let every single person speak before he said a word. He'd just listen, and only at the very end would he speak, to summarize what he saw as the group's consensus. He'd frame it as the collective will, letting them feel like they found the path forward themselves. All right, lesson 3. Mandela knew just instinctively that leadership is a kind of theater, and he was an absolute master of costume. He used his appearance to send these powerful, calculated messages. Nothing was an accident. Just look at the story his clothes tell. In the 50s, as a lawyer, he wore these sharp, tailored suits. Why? To project professionalism and demand to be seen as an equal. Then, in prison, the authorities made Black prisoners wear shorts to treat them like boys. He fought for years to be allowed long trousers because he understood it was a fight for dignity. And then, of course, there's the famous Mandela shirt when he became president. That was a genius move, rejecting the old colonial suit for something new, vibrant, a symbol of a confident, independent Africa. And get this, even his smile, his most famous feature, was a strategic tool. His biographer Stengel said it was like a mask, the brightest, most radiant smile you'd ever see, and he used it to charm you, to put you at ease, to control the room, all while hiding the incredible pain and burden he was carrying inside.
Okay, this next lesson, this might be his most counterintuitive one. And you could argue it was his most powerful tactic for creating real, lasting change. It's basically a masterclass in using empathy as a weapon.
So, instead of just demonizing his oppressors, which would have been the easy thing to do, he studied them meticulously. He insisted on learning Afrikaans, the language of his jailers, which shocked his own comrades.
He read their history, their poetry. He wanted to understand their deepest fears, their sense of grievance, their pride. He wasn't trying to excuse them. He was trying to find a way into their hearts so that he could eventually change their minds.
And all of that work, all that study, it all paid off in this one legendary moment, the 1995 Rugby World Cup. You have to understand, the green and gold Springboks jersey, it was a hated symbol of white supremacy for Black South Africans. So for Mandela to walk out onto that field wearing it, I mean, wow, he wasn't just supporting a rugby team. He was embracing the identity of his former enemies and inviting them into a new, shared South Africa. It was this act of radical empathy that just stunned the entire country and honestly transformed it.
All right, our final lesson. And this one is all about Mandela's relationship with time, because he wasn't just patient in a passive, wait-and-see kind of way. No, for him, patience was an active, strategic weapon.
You can really see his whole struggle through the lens of this question. Think about it. He maintained that iron discipline for decades, with absolutely no guarantee of a reward, no finish line in sight.
27 years. Just let that number sink in. That's how long he was in prison. But here's the thing. It wasn't lost time. He consciously used it as his university, his crucible. He went into prison a fiery, hot-headed revolutionary. He came out a calm, calculating master strategist. And this right here is maybe his single greatest strategic insight. He figured out how to separate his principles from his tactics. His principle, his North Star, was a democratic, non-racial South Africa. That was non-negotiable. It never changed. But the tactics to get there, they were totally flexible. You see, for a lot of people, nonviolence was a sacred principle. For Mandela, it was a tactic. And when he felt it wasn't working, he argued for armed struggle. And when that reached its limits, he started secret negotiations. The goal was fixed, but the path to get there was always up for debate. So in the end, the story of Mandela is really a story of radical self-creation. He wasn't born this saintly genius leader. He was born a proud, stubborn, sometimes impulsive man. And through decades of unbelievable discipline, he consciously built himself piece by piece into the icon we all remember. And that really leaves us with one final thought. If his life teaches us anything, it's that the greatest victory is usually the victory over yourself. So in our world of instant everything, his life poses a really powerful question.